Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's wonderful to be catching up with you once again, and a huge congratulations on Shakuntala Devi.
Thank you so much.
So, first of all, I just wanted to say that we are living in very unpredictable times, and Shakuntala Devi was supposed to release theatrically. Now it's going for an Amazon Prime video during this obviously unforeseeable pandemic. Given the fact that things have happened to you in your life unexpectedly, how do you prepare yourself when things don't go quite according to plan?
I think sometimes when things happen, we all go into denial mode, but I tend to adapt myself to situations and to changes in life
Hmm.
rather um, rather quickly, because I realize that there are things that you can change, there are things that you cannot change. So why fight it? You'd rather expend that energy adapting yourself, for example, to the new normal at this point.
Um,
Yeah, so when things happen unexpectedly, as they often do in life, I'm someone who tends to adapt rather quickly because you know there are things that you can change and there are things that you cannot. So why fight reality when you can spend that energy adapting yourself and moving forward? This is a situation that we can't fight. It is our current reality, and I find that it's easier to accept it and to work our way around it than to live in
mhm.
denial.
Wow, that's so wonderful. And I think it's really remarkable that you have this optimism within you. And I think that's very admirable to sort of see.
Thank
But I think
you.
I read that in an interview actually somewhere that you mentioned that in terms of your actual life, you're stuck between Shakuntala and Sulu. So what makes you say that?
I think I'm someone who's always tried hard to live life on my own terms. And I think I do. I think I'm brave, and um, even when I feel, um, inconfident or unsure, I push myself out of my comfort zone so that I emerge strong. Um, but I think while Sulu had dreams and aspirations, she was still trying to find a balance between her personal and her professional life, which was just about starting. Shakuntala Devi, on the other hand, is unapologetic. She was someone who felt that जब amazing हो सकती हूँ तो normal क्यों बनूं? Because a
Yeah,
lot of times, especially as girls and women, we tend to limit ourselves.
yeah.
We almost shrink ourselves so that we're not threatening the status quo. But she didn't care. She was
Hmm.
like, "This is me. Take it or leave it. I have dreams. I'm gonna pursue them. This is
Yeah.
my gift. I'm going to celebrate it, and I'm going to do it exactly the way I want to." So I'm neither Sulu nor Shakuntala Devi. I'm somewhere in between.
Ah, lovely. That is very well explained again, and I think that really does put things into perspective a lot as well,
Right.
especially about the society that we live in. But I think your journey fascinates me, Vidya, ma'am. I mean, during the initial stage of your career, you seem to choose characters at that point which were very wronged by male characters. For example, be it Parinita, Bhul Bhulaiya as well, even Hey Baby as well. So now we're obviously seeing you do roles which are more inhibited and independent and accepting womanhood for womanhood and just allowing themselves to be without any explanation unapologetically. So, in what way has life experiences driven you to choose the recent projects that you've done?
I think every choice that I've made is actually an extension of my current state of mind. Um, I think sometimes my characters answer questions for me that I didn't even know existed, which is why I almost feel like this is actually a journey of healing.
Right.
It's it's taking me one step further um, towards my true self, towards being truly authentic, towards
Uh
being
huh.
true to myself. you
Wow.
know, understanding a part of me that I probably did not understand before, or acknowledging a part of me that I probably did not acknowledge before. In this case, in the case of Shakuntala Devi, inspiring me, pushing me forward towards being truer to myself,
Mm.
even more than I already am.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. So
Just
it
by
so
being her, you know, I think
mm,
she inspired by example.
yeah, no, definitely. I think it's interesting you say that as well because I also read somewhere, when I was preparing for this interview that you perhaps were never cut out for the traditional hero roles in Bollywood, and I think one of the words you used was like you failed miserably at it or something like that. So to be someone who breaks free from the status quo can be quite lonely as well. But at the same time, people recognize that you're supremely talented, and there were always hopes and expectations, and everyone knows that if a Vidya Balan is in a film, it's going to be great, and she's going to be great. So, as an actor, how satisfied and content are you?
Oh, extremely. You know, I'm extremely satisfied, but I'll get hungry very soon. I
Right.
think that's about life. You know, you have a good meal and you're happy, but in a few hours you get hungry again. And then you're on the prowl for your next
Yeah.
meal. Yeah.
I remember that. I remember you mentioned actually that you're always a tigress on the prowl
Yes,
of your
exactly.
next prey.
And that's how I look at myself.
Mhm. So if you sort of measured and look back at life from the beginning days, I mean, I was watching your interview with Simi Garewal, one of the initial interviews that you did with Simi ji, and I think the way I sort of heard you then and hearing you now, it's just amazing to see this life journey come almost to a full circle. But is there anything that you kind of wish that could have worked better, and what would that be if there is anything?
No, you know, if you ask me to relive these 15 years, I'd say I'd relive it exactly the same way that I did the first time around.
Hmm.
I I don't want to change anything about it because even the things that didn't work out the way I wanted them to taught me a lot. All of that has contributed to making me who I am today and has brought me where I am today.
Right. Yes. As I say, each thing is a stepping stone, and things happen for a reason as well. Um,
Absolutely.
And whilst we live in a world which has really progressed, there is always discussions about, gender divide and any sort of distinction that happens in life. But when will we ever reach a stage where not just the film fraternity, but where the world accept people for people or talent for talent rather than gender or anything else? How far away are we in a world where we just have equilibrium? Can it ever happen, do you think?
No, no, of course it can and it will. But you know, obviously, we've lived a certain reality for a really long time. Uh, a world where the woman was almost invisible
Hmm.
as an individual. You know, she
Right.
was only defined in terms of her relations with the men in her in her life, sorry. So
Hmm.
I think it will, it's still going to take a while, but it's definitely on its way. That change is on its way.
Hmm. Sure. I mean, you obviously broke the glass ceiling. I think when we spoke in London as well, I did kind of mention this as well in our interview. You broke the glass ceiling for the sort of films which really champion women's stories and really put women on center stage. But you obviously didn't mean to break the glass ceiling. You said it broke.
You know,
So
I actually didn't see it.
so how satisfied are you? I mean, again, it's kind of an extension of that question about you being content. But how satisfied are you with the way women are taking center stage in Bollywood at the moment? What do you think could be better?
You know, I think this is probably the best time for a female actor in Hindi cinema, where fantastic and varied roles are being written for us, and we're able to tell our stories of all kinds of heroes, not just of one kind, because there's a hero in each one of us, and I think we're just about beginning to celebrate the hero in each woman. So Sulu is as much a hero as Shakuntala Devi is. And I think that's where we are in cinema, where we're being seen as women who are charting new, um, territories, who are charting new courses, who are negotiating their space in the world,
Mm.
and are overcoming the obstacles and owning their struggles and emerging triumphant.
Yes, that is true. And I'm hoping that will continue as well. But obviously you've explored several shades and styles of cinema. I mean, you've done a psychological thriller, or psychological thrillers rather. You've done romantic comedies. You've done almost a tragedy like Hamari Adhuri Kahan. You've pretty much covered the main bases of cinema. But what do you think will push the boundaries further for you as an actor?
I think I'm not consciously pushing the boundaries, but I think it's more in the writing. It's also in the telling, and then it's that gives me the opportunity to do it through my performance.
Mm.
Um, I think it's the writing is more nuanced now. Like I
Right.
said, we're being seen as people, as individuals,
Mm.
with our own unique struggles, our dreams, our hopes, our aspirations, our fears, our insecurities. And we're not just defining women in terms of their strengths, or in terms of their uh, their so-called goodness.
Mm.
You
Right.
know, I think we're seeing them as people who have a little bit of both or a little bit of everything, which
Mm.
is more what makes for compelling, um,
Cinema.
content. And I think so. It's not just me who is pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
It's all of us together, and I'm part of that process.
Lovely.
Each of us, for example, on Shakuntala Devi, we were a whole lot of women. I think people have been asking me this question that, how do you think having a woman director uh, made a difference? And I feel it made all the difference,
Mm.
because I don't think it made a difference in terms of her being a professional. She's very demanding. She pushed us to deliver our best. Yes, those things I've also encountered with the male directors I've worked with. But I feel that what has made a difference is here you have a woman telling a woman's story through another woman's eyes. That's Anu Menon telling Shakuntala Devi's story through Anupama Banerjee, her daughter's eyes. That is,
Right.
you know, that is the difference. That is very nuanced. That's an insight that would probably be missing um,
Mm.
in the telling of Shakuntala Devi's story by a man, and not
Right.
good.
So it.
And I don't mean for better or for worse. I just mean this is a difference, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes, I think it's true. I think sometimes because that also that personal connect comes into it as well, isn't it? Not because it's bound by gender, but just because it's just, I guess that's just nature, isn't it? Because you can resonate with certain things that, for
Of
example,
course,
maybe a
of
female
course,
would
and
guide you on.
firstly, our stories haven't been told that much, and most of our stories, even since they have been uh, begun to be told, they have begun to be told, have been told by men. So it's so refreshing to have a woman tell a woman's story.
Yes, and I think it does make a difference as well. I definitely agree with that. Even, for example, I saw Sky is Pink recently as well, and you can tell the difference. You really can.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that Shakuntala Devi was made by Anu, and I think she's such a great filmmaker, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing the film. But on a final note, Vidya ma'am, as we mentioned at the beginning of the interview, lockdown has obviously been very difficult and has been a very unprecedented time for all of us. But in what way, if at all, has it changed your perception on life, and how do you hope to take that perception forward in the future?
More than anything else, I feel I've begun to count my blessings now
Right.
more than ever before. Because when you look around you and you see that this time has been so stressful and distressing for so many people, you realize that you've had it easy.
Mm, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And you could tell as well that nature was recovering as well during the period. I mean, when I went out in the garden, I could hear the bird chirping more. I
right.
could see nature reciprocating that as well. So I think on that note though, I just wanted to say it's wonderful to always speak with you, Vidya ma'am, and to always get hear your views on cinema, on life, and thank you so much for joining me on Filmy Shilmy. It's always delightful to speak with you.
Thank you, Anuj. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thank
God
you.
bless. Thank you.